You want to know what really makes a woman lean in? Not your compliments, not your charm, not how much you give. It's the one thing most men fear to use: boundaries. Real ones, grounded ones, the kind that silently say, I won't shrink just to keep you interested. And here's the part no one told you: it's not your effort that makes her feel safe, it's your self respect. In this video, I'm breaking down 6 powerful boundaries that don't just protect your frame, they attract women on a level they can't even explain. She'll feel it. She'll respond to it. And if you hold them long enough, you'll stop chasing her attention, because she'll be chasing your presence. But before we get into it, take a second to subscribe, hit that like button, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I read every single one, and it shows me how many men are done playing small in relationships. Men who are ready to lead, not just react. Men who set the tone instead of waiting to follow it. What I'm about to share isn't theory. It's the exact shift that separates the men she forgets from the men she feels lucky to orbit around. So let's dive into it. Boundary number 1. The unavailable advantage. Most men think being available makes them better partners, more respectful, more attentive, more boyfriend material. But in her mind, it often reads as one thing: desperate. Let me ask you this. Have you ever given a woman all your time, your energy, your focus, only to feel her interest slowly fade? You thought you were making her feel special. She thought you had nothing better to do. Here's the brutal truth. Constant availability screams low value. It silently says, your schedule is empty, your life is idle, she's your only source of meaning. You don't even need to say it. She feels it. She feels it in how fast you reply, in how quickly you cancel plans just to see her, in how ready you are to give up your day to please her mood. At first, sure, she smiles. She tells her friends, he's so sweet, so thoughtful. She might even post about you. But over time, the polarity shifts. And so does the attraction. Because masculine energy isn't needy. It's centered. Masculine energy doesn't orbit the feminine. It creates space and lets her step into it. That's what I call the unavailable advantage. And no, this isn't about playing games or pretending you're busy. It's about being genuinely unavailable because your life is already full. Not full of empty distractions, full of purpose. You're building something. You have routines that fuel you, work that drives you, people who rely on you. You don't drop it all just because she texts, hey. That's not cold. That's calibrated. Women can feel it instantly. They sense when you're not starving for attention. They sense when your time is a currency, and you don't spend it carelessly. See, when you're too available, you become predictable, expected, taken for granted. But when your presence isn't guaranteed, it becomes desired. Now she's wondering where you are, what you're doing. She checks her phone, not because you texted, because you didn't. That space, that gap, activates something ancient in her psychology. It's not about ghosting, it's about gravity. You pull her in by not orbiting her 24/7. And here's the most magnetic part. You don't even have to do anything to create attraction. You simply avoid destroying it with overavailability. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes space creates the exact tension that desire needs to breathe. Boundary number 2. The no apology rule. Most men think women want yes men. Men who agree, who adjust, who say yes even when they mean no, just to keep the peace. But here's what actually happens when you do that. She doesn't feel peace. She feels uncertainty, weakness, lack of edge. Every time you fold your truth into a soft excuse, you shrink in her eyes, even if she smiles in the moment. Picture this. She invites you to something that doesn't align with your schedule, your mood, or your mission. You want to say no, but your body tightens. You hesitate. You start crafting your answer like a PR statement. I'm really sorry. I just have this thing, but maybe I can shift it. I'll let you know. You think you're being polite. She hears you being scared. Scared to disappoint. Scared to set a boundary. Scared to lead. Now let's flip it. Same situation, but instead you say, I won't be able to make it, but I hope it goes great. Let's catch up later this week. Clear, polite, grounded. You didn't justify. You didn't fidget. You didn't apologize for protecting your time. That's the no apology rule. It doesn't mean being rude. It means saying no without guilt. It means honoring your time, your energy, your bandwidth, without begging for forgiveness. Because every time you over-explain a boundary, what you're really saying is, I don't trust I'm allowed to say no. And that energy? That's what kills attraction. Not your words, but your uncertainty. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It simply decides. It communicates in your tone, your eye contact, your simplicity. You don't need a paragraph. You need presence. And here's the irony. When you say no clearly, cleanly, calmly, most women actually feel more drawn to you. Not because you denied them, but because you didn't abandon yourself. She doesn't need you to always say yes. She needs to know that when you do say yes, you mean it. That you're not just agreeing to avoid tension. The truth is, a man who can say no without apology is a man who can lead without fear. He's a man who trusts his instincts, and that kind of man doesn't need to demand respect. He embodies it. So ask yourself, where are you saying yes when you really mean no? Where are you padding your boundaries with 10 layers of soft excuses? Because the more honest your no becomes, the more powerful your yes will feel. We already uncovered the first two boundaries. 1. The unavailable advantage. Stop destroying attraction with over-availability. 2. The no apology rule. Say no without guilt, without shrinking. Now let's go deeper. These next two boundaries are where most men quietly lose ground without even realizing it. They don't blow up their relationships with huge mistakes. They leak respect drop by drop, through small moments they ignore. Let's break it down. Boundary number 3, the respect reflex. Disrespect doesn't always show up like Hollywood drama. It's not always yelling, screaming, or doors slamming. Most of the time, it's subtle. It hides in plain sight. The eye roll when you're speaking. The sarcastic jab about your work. The little comment she makes in front of friends that cuts just deep enough to sting, but not deep enough to argue over. And here's what most men do when this happens. They laugh it off. They shrug and say, she's just playing. They let it slide because they don't want to seem insecure, dramatic, or overly sensitive. But here's the brutal truth. When you let subtle disrespect go unchecked, you don't look chill. You look invisible. Not invisible to the world, invisible to her. Because while she may not say it out loud, she's always watching how you respond. She's testing your edge. She's feeling into your boundaries. And when she realizes you won't speak up, even when you feel that internal shift, that flicker of something wasn't right there, she stops respecting you. Not because she's cruel, not because she's trying to hurt you, but because you just showed her you won't even protect yourself. This is where the respect reflex comes in. It's not about snapping. It's not about confrontation. It's not about lecturing her like a parent. It's about calmly naming the moment, without fear, without apology. You look her in the eye and simply say, hey, I don't let people talk to me like that. That's it. No lecture, no defensive tone, no emotional spike, just presence, just clarity, just frame. And here's the wild part. When you do this, two things happen instantly. 1. Her respect for you rises. 2. Her femininity softens. Why? Because the masculine, when firm and grounded, gives the feminine permission to relax. The testing stops. The sarcasm fades. She no longer needs to push to see if you're solid, because you already showed her you are. Think about it. Have you ever walked away from a moment with her and felt off, but didn't say anything? That feeling in your gut? That's your frame collapsing. Quietly, slowly. One small joke at a time. And the longer you tolerate those small cuts, the faster they bleed out your value. But when you stand tall and calmly check it, without anger, without fear, you send a powerful signal. I see myself as worth protecting. And that energy? It's not just attractive, it's unforgettable. Boundary number 4. The calm test. Before a woman trusts your emotional depth, she's going to test your emotional center. And most men fail this test in the first 10 minutes. How does it show up? She makes a sarcastic remark. She throws a playful jab. She brings up a spicy or edgy topic just to see what happens. It's not personal. It's not even malicious. It's instinct. She's not trying to ruin the moment. She's trying to feel your frame. She wants to know if there's anything solid beneath your charm. So, what do most guys do? They snap back. They over-explain themselves. They get defensive. Or they freeze, terrified of saying the wrong thing. And in that moment, something breaks. She sees a man who is reactive, not grounded. A man who is emotionally fragile, not emotionally anchored. But the man who passes the calm test, he's different. She teases him. He smirks. She pokes. He pauses. She says, "You probably tell that to every girl." And he replies, "That's cute. You always test this hard on the first round." No anger, no defensiveness, no tension, just presence. Just calm. Just play. That's the difference. Because emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about being composed. It communicates something powerful. I've met intensity before, and I don't flinch. And that's what makes her lean in. Not because you passed her test, but because you made the test irrelevant. While other men scramble to prove they're not like the rest, you show her you're not even playing that game. You're not reacting to her storm. You're steady in your own weather. And that's what the feminine truly wants. A man who can hold space without losing himself. Because here's the truth. When she senses you're emotionally fragile, she doesn't feel safe. Not physically, emotionally. She doesn't know how much of herself she can bring to the table. But when she feels your calm, your clarity, your quiet power, she softens. She trusts. She relaxes. And she stops testing because she finally found something real. So here's your rule. When she gets fiery, you get still. When she pokes, you hold presence. When she escalates, you stay calm. You don't mirror chaos, you anchor it. Because the man who holds his emotional center doesn't just pass her tests, he makes her feel safe enough to stop giving them altogether. We've already covered the first 4 boundaries. 1. The unavailable advantage. Stop smothering her with constant access. 2. The no apology rule. Say no without guilt, without shrinking. 3. The respect reflex. Calmly check subtle disrespect before it erodes your value. 4. The calm test. Anchor yourself instead of reacting to her emotional storms. Now, let's dive into the final 2 boundaries. These last ones separate men she forgets from men she never stops thinking about. Boundary number 5. The authority silence. Here's the truth most men never face. A man who constantly explains himself isn't trying to be clear, he's trying to be accepted. Every time you wrap a decision in 5 layers of emotional bubble wrap, every time you send a mini essay just to justify why you can't make it, you're not communicating confidence, you're negotiating it. And she feels it instantly. You think you're being kind. She feels it as weakness. You think you're clarifying. She feels like you're asking for permission. Let's break it down. Man number 1 says, "I won't be able to make it tonight. It's been a stressful week and I'm exhausted, but I hope that's okay. I really wanted to, I just can't." Now compare that to man number 2. "Can't make it tonight. Let's catch up later this week." Same message, different energy. One man is hoping she approves. The other assumes his truth needs no approval. That's the authority silence. It's the boundary that says, "I speak, I don't seek." You're not being cold, you're being calibrated. You're not pushing her away, you're pulling her toward your presence. Because masculine energy doesn't beg to be understood. It trusts itself. It moves with direction, not justification. And here's the magic. When you say less, you say more. You say, "I own my decision." I don't soften reality just to be liked. I don't explain myself into weakness. At first, she might pause. She might wait for the extra paragraph. She might even blink, surprised. But when none comes, something shifts inside her. She feels your certainty. She feels your edge. She feels the rare power of a man who doesn't rush to fill the silence. Because in a world drowning in over-explaining, that silence is loud. Not the silence of avoidance, the silence of authority. The silence of a man unafraid to hold tension. A man who lets his words echo instead of drowning them in disclaimers. So here's your challenge. Stop filling the gaps. Let her feel them. Let your words hang in the air without rushing to clean them up. Because the authority silence isn't about saying nothing. It's about saying only what needs to be said and letting that be enough. And in that restraint, you reveal something magnetic. The real power of masculine presence. Boundary number 6. The mission. First code. Every man swears he can balance it, his purpose, his woman, his identity. But most men fail the moment they start to bend. She enters your life and slowly, inch by inch, you start shifting. Your morning routine changes, your priorities slide, your focus fades, not overnight, gradually, until your mission isn't the anchor anymore, it's just background noise. And for a while, she loves the attention. You're available, you're responsive, you're always adjusting to her. But then something shifts. Not because she's ungrateful, but because she senses something subtle. You've made her the mission, and that kills attraction faster than almost anything else. Here's the paradox most men miss. A woman doesn't want to be your whole world. She wants to be part of a world that's already moving. She wants to feel like she's joining a man with momentum, not becoming his reason to wake up in the morning. That's why the mission first code is non-negotiable. It's the boundary that says, my path doesn't pause for love. It includes it. It honors it, but it is not driven by it. Because when you orbit around her, she becomes the sun. And now she has to carry both her energy and yours. She has to lead, to structure, to initiate, and that burden slowly kills her desire. But when you stay grounded in your mission, when your mornings are still yours, your fitness still matters, your goals still drive your calendar, she relaxes. Why? Because she's not being asked to complete you. She's being invited to complement you. And that's when she truly feels feminine. When she's orbiting something powerful, not being depended on to power you. So here's your test. Look at your schedule. Does it still reflect your vision, or has it slowly become hers? Do you still chase progress the way you used to, or are you chasing her approval instead? Because the man on a mission doesn't neglect love. He leads it. He doesn't sacrifice connection. He aligns it. And when a woman sees that, when she sees your fire burns with or without her, she doesn't feel pushed away. She feels pulled in. Not because she has to be your everything, but because she wants to be part of something bigger than herself. That's the power of masculine direction. It creates gravity. And gravity makes everything around it move, including her. The closing shift. Every boundary you set is a message, not just to her, but to yourself. It says, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I'm not afraid to lose what doesn't align with that. And women feel that. They feel it in the silence between your texts. They feel it in the calm when they test you. They feel it when your no doesn't come wrapped in guilt. They may never say it out loud. They might roll their eyes or push back at first. But deep down, they're watching. They're measuring your center. They're sensing whether your edge is real or just reactive. Because a man who respects himself that much triggers a quiet voice inside her. Maybe I need to rise to match this. That's how polarity is built. Not through dominance, not through manipulation, through presence, through being a man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't dilute himself to be liked, who doesn't abandon his mission to gain approval. You don't win her heart by proving yourself. You invite it by protecting your frame. So here's your final challenge. Go back through these 6 boundaries. Pick the one that hit you hardest, the one you know you've been avoiding, and make it your practice this week. Because every time you hold a boundary, you reinforce your self-respect. And every time you fold, you leak your value, even if she never says a word. If this video gave you clarity, hit that like button. If you're done being the man who's always available, always apologizing, always shrinking, subscribe now and drop a comment below telling me which boundary you're reclaiming first. Awareness is power. But action? Action is what makes you unforgettable. Until next time, set the standard. Protect your frame. Own the moment.